Yeah, I never really felt that pressure. I think I had an established career first at Ajax, then of course I went to Juventus, and that didn't really work out for myself. Then to connection, the type of goalkeeping was not suited for the Italian game. Of course, I played 4 years for Fulham in the Premier League, so I knew the league, I knew the players, I knew what is needed to succeed. And getting the opportunity at a later stage in my career, 34, to play for such a big club again, and it just felt like a warm bath. And I never was faced by whatever the shadow of Peter Schmeichel or the pressure of performing or playing for a big stadium, and everything felt from the day one that I walked in. It felt natural, and all the things that Ferguson asked me, what he needed it and what he wanted me to do, I did, and some maybe even more, a little bit more.
Because the man in goal at the moment is coming under intense criticism in Andre Onana. There's lots of talk about whether Manchester United should be going into the market again in the summer to maybe replace Onana. Where do you stand on that? Do they need to replace the goalkeeper?
No, I have a great connection with Andre. He was 4 or 5 years at the club at Ajax, and also on the personal level. And I've seen him train. I've trained with him. I still speak to him. I'm sure he's going to cope with the pressure and everything that is facing him at the moment. And of course, sometimes you go through a rough patch, but I think he's a very strong character. I think the obstacles that he had along his life, his career, and the place where he is now, and I'm sure that he's gonna be a very capable goalkeeper for the coming years for Man United.
Yeah, you genuinely feel that in the coming years, Onana will be a success there.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you know him very, very well, of course, from the time at Ajax.
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch with him? Do you speak to him? Does he ask you for advice?
I met him, let's say, about 2 months ago. I was at Craven Cottage at the Fulham against Manchester United game. So after the game, I met up with some former players and some staff. So I was speaking with Lisandro Martinez and Andre also, and so we always have a great connection at the club, and so we stay in touch.
That's good to hear. It's been quite a bad season. We all know that for United so far, but they're still in the Europa League.
Yeah.
Into the semi-finals against Athletic Bilbao. If victory was to be achieved in that competition, does it change the narrative totally around United for this season, or is it still one of those ones where they need to be scrutinised for what has happened in the Premier League?
No, of course you need to look at things that are happening, of course. But I think for the fans, they know it's been difficult. It's not only this year. The last 7-8 years they are not experiencing the highs that in the 2007 years, or maybe in the 90s. But in that aspect, I think it's a lifeline they are getting, and we had that ourselves in 2017. We played at Ajax Europa League final against Manchester United, and under Mourinho. I don't think they qualified for Champions League that year either, and they unfortunately they won in Stockholm. So it's a great opportunity for the club, for the fans, for the players, for the manager, and of course for the board.
In a time when the pressure could not be higher at Old Trafford, Manchester United legend Edwin van der Sar has stepped forward to throw his full support behind beleaguered goalkeeper Andre Onana. The Cameroonian international has found himself at the center of fierce criticism following a series of high-profile mistakes, most notably during United's Europa League quarter-final first leg against Olympique Lyon. Onana, who arrived at United amid high expectations after excelling at Ajax and Inter Milan, made 2 costly errors that allowed Lyon to salvage a result, errors that have drawn scathing reviews from fans, pundits, and even former players. Former United midfielder Nemanja Matic did not mince his words, labeling Onana as one of the worst goalkeepers in the club's history, a comment that only added fuel to the already raging fire. With United struggling for consistency both domestically and in Europe, rumors have begun to swirl that the club is exploring alternative options between the sticks, including links to Southampton's Aaron Ramsdale. A growing section of the fan base has called for changes, worried that Onana's inconsistency could derail what remains of the season. However, Van der Sar, one of the most respected goalkeepers in Manchester United's history, urged calm and patience. Speaking recently, the four-time Premier League winner shared his personal insight into Onana's resilience and character. "I have a great connection with Andre. I've seen him train, I've trained with him, and I'm sure he's going to cope with the pressure," Van der Sar said. "Sometimes you go through a rough patch, but I think he's a very strong character." Van der Sar's words carry considerable weight. Having worked closely with Onana during their time together at Ajax, the Dutchman has seen firsthand the quality and mentality that Onana possesses. His message to United supporters is clear: mistakes happen, and true champions are defined by how they respond to adversity, not how they avoid it. Onana's journey at Manchester United has been turbulent, but there's still belief within the corridors of Old Trafford that he can turn things around. New manager Ruben Amorim has shown a willingness to back his players publicly and may yet stick with Onana despite the mounting pressure. The coming weeks will be critical. With United still fighting for European glory and a strong finish in the Premier League, Onana's performances could very well determine the success or failure of their season. Whether he can overcome this difficult period and justify Van der Sar's faith remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: he still has allies who believe he can thrive at the highest level. As the pressure cooker intensifies, will Andre Onana prove his doubters wrong and rise to the challenge? Stay tuned, this story is far from over.